tell y'all what happened to me today, and I don't think you're going to believe it. So first off, this morning I was filling my tanks up to maximum capacity because I knew I had to empty them. I was leaving the park today and I'm going to be boondocking, so I had to have fresh, clean tanks before I could move on. So I was filling out my gray tank. That's the tank that the water from your kitchen sink and your shower fills into. And so I was adding water to it, and I checked the light, the indicator that tells you how much, how full it is, and it said I was only at 1 bar, which meant it was empty. I suspected that was wrong because I had been using water, and I hadn't been careful about it. So anyway, I continue filling, and the next thing I know, there's water all over the floor. I'm going to say that my gray tank reader is broken. So what had happened was I had put so much water into the tank that it started coming out through the shower. And then, of course, it went right out, overflowed from the shower onto the bathroom floor, and then it ran into the hallway. And the smell was horrendous. And let me tell you, for the last few days in that bathroom, it had smelled horrible. And I kept checking that toilet and making sure that the toilet didn't smell bad. And oh my God, what was this smell? So right now, I need to back up right now. So for the last week, maybe a little bit longer, I have been smelling this awful smell like rotten eggs. And I had just got my propane filled. So I thought, oh my God, something's wrong. I'd broken a propane line because I just had a propane line repaired. And I couldn't figure it out. I would close the tank and the smell would go away. I'd close the propane tank and the smell would go away. And then I'd be sitting there and the smell would come back, and I would open the propane tank and the smell would go away. And I'm thinking, what in God's name is wrong with this propane tank? Sometimes it stinks when it's open, and sometimes it stinks when it closes. I think you know where I'm going with this. So I'm getting afraid to actually use my propane. Every time I needed to use a stove or something, I would go outside and turn it on, and then immediately go back out and turn it off because the smell was so bad. I just assumed that the propane was filling up the cabin, and one false spark and it would be kaboom. Anyway, as you can guess, it had nothing at all to do with the propane. It was the wretched smell coming from my gray tank that smelled so bad. And I guess what was happening was, you know, I would wash my hands and then I would sit down, and all of a sudden this odor would come, and I would smell this horrible odor. And I would think it was the propane because it smelled like rotten eggs. So I would open all the windows and the smell would dissipate. So then I would, make myself a cup of tea, and I would turn the stove on. And of course I'd wash my hands, but I would sit down and smell the propane again. It was terrible. So I'd go back outside and turn it off. And then I would do something else, of course, and I would do the dishes, and I'd run the water, and then I'd smell that horrible smell again. So I'd go back outside and I'd turn the propane on. So I'm doing this now for 2 whole days until the tank, it didn't dawn on me until the gray tank overflowed that it had absolutely nothing to do with the propane. It was the wretched, rotten smell of my stagnant water in my gray tank. Now, I'm sure you realize by now this story's only going to get worse and worse. And that's because in my shower, I store my dirty laundry basket, and I have another laundry basket which has my paper towel, my toilet paper, a couple of other things in the bottom of it. So now I'm sure you guessed that both of those laundry baskets are full of sopping dirty water. And I have to carry one into the laundromat to get it to do the laundry. And now the basket weighs about 100 pounds because everything in it's soaking wet. And it smells. It stinks like nobody's business. So it's been more than one day that water has been sitting in that shower, and I just didn't realize it. And actually, when I did the laundry, one of my shirts had mold on it. So for sure that water had been seeping in there for some time. Now, of course, the laundry basket with all my paper products in it, it was completely destroyed. So it's actually still in there. The paper towel and that are draining because I have to throw them out. However, when I pick them up, the water is just running out of them, and I don't want that all over the RV now that I've cleaned it back up. And the other thing that happened was I had Tide Pods at the bottom of the laundry basket in a baggie. And of course, the water got into them, and they got all soaking wet and soppy. So, and they were all over everything. So when I did my laundry, I didn't add any soap to the laundry. I just split up what was on the bottom into two different washers so that there would be soap in both washers. And then I just took what was left in the bottom of the bag, and I poured it into the other washer to wash my blankets, because I showed you those pictures with the chocolate on it. If I didn't, they'll be in this video soon.
No, that is not poop.
So there was so much soap in those washers. I don't even know if it all got rinsed out. I'm not even sure. The clothes have a funny feeling to them, like there still might be soap residue in them, and I may rewash them. I'm not sure. I couldn't get that residue off my hands. I ended up putting some, I washed them several times, and I ended up putting hand cream on them to get rid of that weird feeling. Anyhow, I'm off to I'll get back with you soon.